Hello, and thank you for joining me again today on the Finding Hope After Loss podcast. The holidays are approaching, and I wanted to share something I do every year for our daughter Jasmine. If you aren't familiar, Jasmine was our daughter who was born 5 years ago. She was stillborn at 32 weeks due to CDH, which is a congenital diaphragmatic hernia, and then she also had mosaic trisomy 15. So, as I said, she would have been 5 this year, and we're always looking for ways to include her in the holidays and other family gatherings and events. So each year, I ask people to send cards addressed specifically to Jasmine, and we put them in her stocking and we open them on Christmas morning. And every single one that we receive is really special to me. And it's a great way to include your baby, have something special just for them on Christmas, and something simple that family members or friends can do to get involved. And then we also have special ornaments just for her, some ornaments with her name on them, her date of birth. And I've seen some people have a separate tree for their baby. So there are really just so many things you can do to still have them be included in the holidays. You can try out a few different things and see what you like best. You can do all of them. It's just pretty much whatever you feel like doing that makes you feel like your baby is being remembered in a way that is meaningful for you. So today I am talking with Ashley. She struggled with unexplained infertility before finally being able to get pregnant with her twins. Her journey inspired her to become a holistic fertility coach, where she works using yoga, meditation, and other holistic healing. Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Ashley. Ashley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a holistic fertility coach, and I really birthed my business because of my own fertility journey and because of my own struggles, and really knowing that there's not enough support out there and there's not enough available for women who are in that space and place, and that it's also can be a silent struggle and a lonely journey, and just wanting to offer support for people that are seeking that along the way.
And can you talk a little bit about your infertility journey?
Over a decade ago, I was still in my 20s when I started trying to conceive, and I thought this wouldn't be an issue. I'm young, I'm healthy, this is just going to happen. I was sort of in denial at the time that there could be an issue or that something was quote unquote wrong. And so eventually I realized that I was going to take the route of a fertility clinic because I didn't feel like there was anything else available to me at that point in time. And I did, but I also went in it with the mentality of this is either going to end in a baby or this is going to end in heartbreak, and had to be mentally prepared beforehand before going down that road. And I did conceive twins eventually, and I'm very grateful and blessed to have twins in my life and that I get to wake up to every day. But it also wasn't a road I was willing to go down again or to put myself through again. And I walked away from that experience with unexplained infertility, with no answers, with no reason of why it took so long, why it was so challenging, why it was such a struggle. And as much as I tried to have peace with that, I really didn't. I wanted to know, quote unquote, what was wrong with me? Like, why wasn't I able to do what so many women can do naturally and easily? And eventually, I discovered that and was able to do that for myself. And really, what brought me to that space and place was initially landing on my yoga mat and really just making peace with all that had come before, and really just bringing mind, body, and spirit back into balance and alignment. And I was able to conceive easily, naturally, quickly within 6 months. And it was just a night and day difference between both experiences. And it can be a positive experience and not a long, drawn out, heartbreaking experience.
Now, when you were going through fertility treatment, I mean, did you find that they would even offer other holistic options or offer that kind of advice, or was it just straight, here's the medicine you take, here's what you do?
I think probably the lowest point for me was, when they said, "This should have worked by now, we're going to try this next." And just feeling so defeated and so broken in the moment where I was doing everything down to an art, down to a science, all of the steps, procedures, processes that I was meant to be doing, yet I wasn't getting that result. And it was extremely frustrating and extremely disheartening to be like, how could I be putting this much energy and effort and time into this? And yet I'm not seeing that result.
Yeah, it's extremely hard. I mean, we went through some fertility treatment as well, not like IVF, but other fertility treatment. And yeah, it was just like you said, just take this, do this. And, I was doing acupuncture at the time. And I mean, I love acupuncture, speak highly of that. And I just remember one of the doctors completely dismissing it, like, oh, well, we don't know if that works. And there's no evidence behind that. And I'm just like, why can't these things work together, you know?
Yes, and they truly really can, and I think there needs to be something alongside of if you're going to a fertility clinic, right? Because they're taking care of the physical, scientific sort of pieces and aspects of it, but you're more than your physical body. And there's a lot that goes along with this emotional roller coaster ride of trying to conceive. So, really having some support, some tools, some resources to help navigate all of that is going to make you feel so much better in the process. And when you feel better, then everything else happens with a lot more ease and with a lot more flow. There's not all of this resistance of like, ah, I have to do this appointment. I have to take this medication. I have to. And it's more of like, I get to like nourish and nurture myself and get to know myself on a different level than feeling like this is being forced upon me or it's not going to happen.
So were you doing the yoga before, or was that something you started after your treatment?
It's something I started after when my twins were toddlers, and it started with just like one karma class a week. And really, that was me shifting my whole perspective and my whole outlook of, I have to fill my cup first and I have to prioritize myself. And that is truly important. And when there's more of me to give to everybody, then it's better for everyone that's in my life, and it has a positive ripple effect in all areas of my life. And, one karma class
Mhm.
turned into many yoga trainings and types of energy work and just working with my body in a way that I never had and that what I wasn't tuning into and tapping into, that's available to all of us. This isn't something that is only some people can use a fertility clinic. That is not even available to everybody. And this is something that is available to everybody from the comfort of your own home. So if you can't make it to an acupuncture appointment, you can do yin yoga at home and it has the same benefits as acupuncture because you're working with the meridian lines in your body in the same way as going to an acupuncture treatment. So it's just a different way and a natural and gentle way to work with your body.
I love that it's something that you're right. It is more accessible to everyone. Anybody can, stream it on your TV and do it. It's not, you don't have to put as much, not that it's not effort, that's not what I mean, but the effort into like going to an appointment and, taking off work and, doing all those kinds of things that are usually involved in going to a fertility clinic.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, at the time, I was in the major city where there was a fertility clinic, but lots of people have to travel hours or they have to take a plane or like this can be very much an upheaval in your lifestyle and in your work and all of these other areas of your life.
So what made you decide to become a coach and help other people?
Really, it was sort of a COVID realization of wanting to be able to help women more so than I was. Initially I was just teaching yoga and teaching meditation. And when COVID hit, I just sort of was at home with my three children going, you know, so many women are struggling and so many women don't have the support. And looking at my children going, I wouldn't have my third if I hadn't realized all of these things about myself and about how to work with my body and my energy and how to truly heal and what that actually looks like and feels like. Because lots of these things aren't tangible until you actually experience them for yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, like I said, with the acupuncture or with, just something like that, it's one of those things that I heard about and I'm like, give it a try. I don't know about this. And then it ended up being like one of the things that did the most for me, So I think there's so many benefits you can't even see that are going on, internally that, they're not like
Yes.
external things that you physically see, but things are happening.
Yes. And then once you sort of embody and incorporate these things, you do begin to feel, you do begin to notice, like from whether your food tastes better to your energy, is improved, you have less stress, you sleep more soundly, all of these little things aren't so little in the grand scheme of everything.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. So, what is your process like when you first meet with a new person? Like, what are the kind of things you go over or look for, or that kind of thing?
It definitely it needs to be in alignment for me and for them, and it needs to be a willingness to journey inward and a belief in themselves, right? Because if that belief isn't there, then there's no point really. You can do all the healing and modalities and energy medicine that's out there, but if that belief isn't sort of willing to be looked at or worked with, or that mindset shift isn't even there, then there's no point sort of venturing forward. Um, and really, you don't need to know how all of these things work. Initially, you just need to be open to receive, right? You need to be open to just allowing this energy to move through you, for these emotions to surface, because oftentimes we are suppressing all of the sadness, all of the anger, all of the hurt and guilt and shame that is coming alongside with trying to conceive and not having that end result. And just because we're not looking at it doesn't mean it's not there and it's not below the surface. So, really giving space and time and energy for that, because it is there and it is, whether we acknowledge it or not. So, it is an acceptance and an acknowledgement of everything that has come before this moment. And from there, you can have big shifts and changes. But first, we have to be able to sort of look at where we're at now in this present moment. And we can move forward when we're not sort of holding on to the past and have moved through and processed our fertility journey. And that's really why I meet people one to one, to acknowledge and help them for where they're at, because this can look so different for so many of us.
Yeah, that's very true. We all have, a different journey, a different experience, and I think that's a good way to look at it, and to work with them where they're at, not expect them all to be at the same place initially.
No, because we're not, and that's not realistic. I can give blanket sort of helpful advice, but to really have transformation and to really have an energetic shift, it needs to come from within, and it needs to be sort of personalized and customized to that person of what they truly need in the moment.
So, do you typically work with people that are going through other fertility treatment or not going through treatment or kind of both or
Y- It's It's both and. It's the best way to describe it. I will say that most people find me sort of at their low point, right? Either they've just experienced a miscarriage or, they feel like they've tried everything and they feel like they're at the end of the road. And I wish people would find me, earlier on in their journey, but also when they find me is precisely the exact point in time that they need to because they've gone through everything that they needed to experience up until this moment, and it's sort of like something needs to change and something needs to shift, and I'm willing and ready to take a different approach and to perhaps feel better in mind, body, and spirit. Because if you're just feeling drained and depleted and heavy, and this is really just taking an emotional toll on you, then that's not helping you to get where you want to be.
I know you mentioned, that there's a lot of feelings of shame and things like that around going through infertility. Is that something that you also experience, those kind of feelings?
Definitely. Absolutely. I'm human just like everybody else, and I felt so much shame, and I didn't know what to do with that shame, and I didn't really realize how heavy and energetically heavy that is in your body and how that feels and where you feel that and where is that stored, and I didn't have the awareness of how to work with that.
So when you started doing yoga and all of these kind of things, did you teach yourself or did you learn through somewhere else, or how did you come into all of that?
Yes. Initially, it was very much, I just wanted to be able to do hot yoga and teach hot yoga, and that served a purpose for a time, but that didn't actually it was very ego-based, and my approach to it was very ego-based, and that didn't necessarily serve me in where I wanted to be. Yes, it was great for health and stability and strength and all of those things, but what really made a shift and a change was learning yoga practices like yin yoga and restorative yoga and therapeutic yoga and ways that are very healing and restorative and gentle for the body because we have so much yang energy. We need to have more yin, and infertility is very stressful. So, what are we doing with that stress? How are we working through that stress? How are we resetting our nervous system? Yoga Nidra is something else that I offer, which is a meditation, which is resetting for your nervous system, which works through all layers of your being so that you are really calm and working with your subconscious mind, and that you will receive whatever you need to receive during that meditation. And that is available to any of us, and you can't do it wrong. So if no one has done meditation before, I was like, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. I can't quiet my mind. And that's where we start. There's somewhere to start for everyone, and it's just really having that willingness to start.
Yeah, that's definitely something I know I've struggled with because I've always heard of all the benefits of meditation and I'm just like, I can't sit still. But I probably just haven't focused enough energy and, tried hard enough, I guess. I have a hard time shutting the mind off.
It's really like a practice, and it's really just something that you can cultivate for yourself, and it will come. But I think you have to let go of what you think it should be and feel like and look like, and all of these other things that we have in our mind, la preconceived notion of what this should look like and feel like, and really just turn inward and focus on, the thoughts that are arising and just allowing them to pass without being attached to them. And also really just noticing what's going on internally, and you can make it. If you can't sit, you can do walking meditations, and there's something for everyone. It's just perhaps you need a different style and a different approach from what you've tried before.
I love that. I didn't even know that there was a walking type meditation. That actually sounds really relaxing.
Yeah. So it means, being present, being mindful, not popping in earbuds into your ear and like tuning out, it's more of a tuning in and, allowing yourself to be in the moment because so often we're 10 steps ahead or 20 steps looking in the past of what else happened in the day or the week or the month or whatever the case may be.
Now, I know this was something I have PCOS, so I struggled with having regular cycles. And there was one point where I saw there was yoga that is supposed to help with different parts of your cycle. Are you familiar with that at all? Is that actually a thing? Or
I really the yoga I offer is going to help with all of your cycle,
all of it?
all
Yeah.
phases of your cycle, all parts of your cycle, and to help regulate it, to help regulate you, to help your cycle also not be as painful, as long, and the symptoms to not be as prevalent as perhaps they are or have been in the past. So it's really bringing your body back into a state of balance and harmony.
That sounds really nice. Even just talking about it makes me want to go do some yoga. So, do you have any advice for people that are going through infertility?
My main piece of advice would be that seeking support is going to just benefit you along the way, whether that's a community, whether that is a coach, whether that is someone you feel seen, heard, and understood by is going to be so beneficial for you in the long run because there's really no worse feeling, in my opinion, than feeling alone and silent with your struggle and feeling like no one understands you and you don't have anyone to turn to or anyone that can support you.
Are there any other things that helped you with your grief of going through infertility besides, turning to the more holistic approaches? Were there other things that helped you?
Definitely, I think it's important to acknowledge whichever level of loss you are experiencing. So whether it's just from month to month and that constant loss every cycle, because that is a loss too. You have this expectation, you're putting this energy and this effort into it, and then it's a disappointment yet again. And so honoring your loss and honoring any losses that you have had, that will help to heal your grief, to honor this baby in whichever way feels right for you. Whether you plant a tree or whether you have a special sort of celebration at that time of year. I mean, just really choosing and honoring what feels right and true for you and do that because that will help you to heal and also to speak their name and to do those things because I've had friends who have formed a charity when their son died of a rare genetic disorder that they weren't aware that he had. And so, there's a walk every year and there's no right or wrong. It's really just finding what's right for you.
I definitely agree with that. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. We all do it differently.
Yes.
Now, do you find
I
that,
think
oh, go ahead.
I think that it's also just to honor the waves. I think that sometimes we feel this pressure that we have to be over this or not sad any longer by a certain time and space. And that's not really a truth. And to know that it will come in waves. And there are going to be those moments where it catches you off guard and you're like, oh, I feel that, whether it's something you see on social media or something that somebody says or something in a newspaper, there are going to be those times and to know that that is going to happen and to know that that is okay and that is part of your journey and your healing process as well is it's not just a said and done thing that I'm never going to feel this or experience this any again.
Yeah. So when I know you mentioned that the yoga helps, with restoring everything into balance, and I assume that applies to emotions too, like it can help with grief and things like that as well.
Absolutely, because certain organs house certain emotions. So That's also why it's so important to look at grief and to honor your grief now in the moment when it's showing up, because if we don't do it now, it's going to show up in the future. And where it will show up with grief is in your heart and in your lungs. So that's why I work with the heart chakra, a lot for anyone who has experienced loss in their life, because that's where it's prevalent, that's where they feel it, that's where it will hang on to and be stored in their body.
I find all of this so interesting, that the organs like store the emotions and stuff. It's not something I'm super familiar with. So I find everything you're saying very interesting.
Well, thank you, and it's also, one of my clients said to me, "This is knowledge that everybody should have," and I said, "Yes, I do believe everybody should have this knowledge and this awareness because it's truly, I believe, life-changing, and also we're not typically brought up or raised in this way where we have this awareness or that we know these things, and it's really important." And right now, I only offer it to women who are trying to conceive because that's where my heart is at and that's who I really want to serve and help. But definitely, everyone can be so empowered with this knowledge of how to work with their body and nourish themselves optimally and really just find a more balanced and aligned place of being.
I find it really, it seems like we have a problem. We're taught, okay, just go to the doctor, they'll give you some medicine, they'll give you a quick fix, and you're right, like we don't have that education to even know our own bodies really.
No, and I promise you what I offer is not a quick fix. It's more of a life fix of you can have a holistic lifestyle and know what serves you and your body best moving forward. And to have that, what is seen can't be unseen, and there won't really be going any back to before, because you'll just have this knowledge and you'll know, okay, if I eat that type of food, that's going to put me out of balance. So I'm going to choose this instead. Not that you never do, but you'll just be so much more conscious and aware of your choices moving forward and live more consciously than unconsciously.
I love that. I know with like I said, with the PCOS, it's one of those things that can really be helped with diet changes, yet I was never
Hmm.
taught that. But now that I'm finally like learning more about it, yeah, I definitely don't want to go back to to the other ways that I was eating. So I definitely agree with that point.
Yes, I also just love to remind people that what is healthy for one person isn't necessarily healthy for you. And you truly need to get to know your own body and its functions to the best of your ability, because that's only going to help you moving forward in the process.
So is there anything else that you would like to share or add?
I truly believe that there is happiness and healing and health available to all of us who are seeking to feel better on this journey to motherhood, to feel like our radiant and vibrant self in our life. And if you're feeling drained and fatigued and depleted, that truly are many, many resources available to you to help you along this path.
If people wanted to find more information about your services, where would they go to find that?
You can find me on Facebook. I do have a holistic fertility coach Facebook group, which is a sacred, safe, healing space to just be in. There are meditations and there are various experts that come in that offer modalities that say aren't my expertise, because I truly believe that we can all help each other to feel better in this process. And I'm also a part of a health and wellness platform called Vibely, which is Vibly. So if you want to give yin yoga a try or you want to try yoga nidra meditation for free, you're welcome to do so and just have that experience, because I think that with a tangible experience and an embodied experience, then you can see for yourself if this is something that's going to benefit you on your path.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about what you do. I've definitely learned some things, and I definitely want to go try some yoga now.
Wonderful, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing your story with us. You mentioned how going through infertility was both a silent and a lonely journey. And this is so true for so many people. So many struggling with both infertility and loss just don't talk about it. And there can be so many reasons why you don't talk about it. Maybe it's something you don't feel like you can talk about. Maybe you would rather just keep it private. Maybe you don't know anyone else who's going through it. Whatever the reason, it leaves so many people feeling so alone in their journey, like they are the only one going through something like this. This is why I choose to continue to share my story and to help share the stories of others. You are never alone. I guarantee there is someone out there who has gone through something similar to what you have. One of the biggest things so many guests on the podcast continue to say is the importance of finding a good support system. If you're not comfortable talking to your family and friends, that's okay. But you should find someone else to talk to. It can be a doctor, a therapist, it can be the online loss community, your spouse or partner, a coworker, and yes, family and friends if you feel like they are the best people to share with. It can be anyone you feel safe talking to and sharing with. You can even create an anonymous social media account and post about things there. The internet may be bad for some things, but it's really great at helping to connect people. You can connect with people across the world that you never would have been able to before. So yes, this is another reminder. Get that support system. Loss and infertility are lonely if you're alone, but you never have to go through it alone. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Please leave a review or a rating if you like the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, we are all in this together.